I slept good last night. You know what that means? It means I'm tired as hell today.
Huh?
It's true.
I'm tired of snow.
Sugar-free Red Bull day today. Oh, I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all. Martin, what's up, bud?
David on hold.
Roger that. We're all tired today, guys. Tired, tired, tired.
All right, we're close. And 30. Record. Because you did right.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the gunbroker.com studios on the Crossbreed Holsters Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
It's 2021, and we're in a new decade. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome inside Armed American Radio's Daily Defense in these gunbroker.com studios on this Crossbreed Holsters microphone. I am Mark Walters, and I am filling your prescription for freedom today across America's airwaves and online. If you're watching the broadcast, Facebook, YouTube, more to come on that. We're adding another platform, a big one. Hopefully this weekend. I'm going to be a little quiet about it. I'll announce it on social media when I can. All of this being presented to you today by xinsurance.com. X Insurance. a far superior product to anything you think you have. Believe me when I tell you that. We'll have much, much more to say about that in the coming days and weeks ahead. You'll be hearing a lot from Armed American Radio and X Insurance regarding these products. We're not going to pull any punches when it comes to the type of product that you need to defend yourself when your freedom is on the line. Yesterday's program was one of the funnest I've done in a long time. Why? Because the gunwriter came back. The gunwriter was back. Lee, the gunwriter Williams. And his new website is up, thegunwriter.substack.com. Go check it out. If you just go to gunwriter.com, you'll find the link to the new website. I joined him as what's the member I called? As a founding member for $100 because he is now out of work because of the publication he worked for not liking him. More about that in just a little bit as well, because I'm sure David Codrea, my next guest for the rest of the day, will have something to say about that as well. David Codrea, how you doing, brother?
Wait a minute. Did you just say that you had an announcement to make and you weren't? You know what? You typically tell me this stuff. If everybody turns their volume down, will you tell me?
What is it? Thegunwriter.com is back.
Oh, no, you had an announcement about big things that were happening with Armed American Radio.
Oh, with X Insurance and everything else coming up, yeah, and then we're doing a whole new stream and everything else. But that's fodder for another show. Don't worry about that. It was just a teaser. That was just a teaser. Hey, David, let me just set the record straight. I actually got a ton of sleep last night, a ton. And that never happens to me. It means I'm tired today, okay? So I'm going to be relying on you.
Well, let's go. What do you want to talk about?
Nothing. I'm going to leave. You take the mic. Greg will walk you through the breaks. You're good to rock and roll. You got this, right?
Okay, good. Well, you know what? I could start out giving some props to our friend Dave Workman, who had a piece up on Ammo Land about microstamping. And he made a point that we've been making for a very long time, but he posed it in the form of a question. And he said, how many crimes have been solved with perpetrators arrested, prosecuted, and convicted thanks to microstamping?
Can I answer that?
Yes, I know we can answer that. I just think that is a very good thing to ask in the form of a question of these ardent gun grabbers. And I've got another piece we'll talk about later in this segment where I end up with a couple questions to ask of gun grabbers as well. And I think asking that, you'll get the abada abada hamana hamana, Jackie Gleason response because they won't have an answer.
Well, we know the answer. Zero.
Exactly.
Zero. There's not been one crime. There's not been one arrest. There's not been one conviction. Not one in California, Maryland, New Jersey, nowhere. Nowhere. None of Biden's wishy-washy. Not one. Not one. Hear that again. Zero, David. Zero. Big, fat nada. That should tell us something, should it not?
Well, what it reminds me of is, I've told this story before about how I came up with the term authorized journalist. And this was at a park where we used to take our kids to play when I was living in Manhattan Beach, California. And Sarah Brady appeared with our local congresswoman, Jane Harmon, it was at the time. And they had all these guns laid out on tables in the No Guns Park and all these police chiefs around and a news conference. And at the time, Mark, I was doing the newsletter for the West Side Los Angeles NRA Members Council. And so I figured, I wanted to ask a question too. And they were talking about, how, they have managed to stop all these felons from breaking gun laws by catching them. And my question was, well, how many of these, you're saying like 250,000 or something like that. How many of these have been arrested, prosecuted, and convicted essentially for lying during the background check? And they wouldn't answer. They kept ignoring me, at which point a cop came over to me, a plainclothes guy, and told me that I was not a journalist and what I was doing was not protected by the First Amendment. At which point I held both my wrists out to him and invited him to cuff me and take me away. And he went back to his group of plainclothes officers, police chiefs, who were giving me dirty looks. And about 2 days later in the paper, somebody wrote a letter in about how these Second Amendment fanatics were self-righteously cloaking themselves in the First Amendment.
Self-righteously, that reminds me of Alexander Rubian, by the way, of NJ2AS, who famously last year, David, as I'm sure you probably remember. We spoke about it, listeners, with Alexander on the program. He had a press pass issued to him by the governor's press office, and it was revoked because they didn't like him asking questions about gun rights in the governor's meetings. And he actually showed up, David, to a meeting, and New Jersey state troopers surrounded him and threw him out because they said his pass had been revoked. He said, "What are you talking about?" It took 3 more times in a lawsuit before they finally let him in, and then the governor, Murphy, up there, Phil Murphy, lying out, hateful, rotten, evil man, liar when it comes to the right to bear arms, and lots of other things too, but we'll focus on that here for the purpose of the show, said that he didn't throw him out. He wasn't sure of it. He welcomed him back in only because he was sued. These people are monsters, brother. I don't know of any other way to describe them. Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you have this Antifa. Yeah. Meanwhile, you have this Antifa guy hired by NBC, and somebody else made like $70,000.
Yeah.
He's saying, "No, I wasn't there rioting. I was there as a journalist," and they got him dead to rights. Of course, he was there inciting.
Yeah, it's astonishing how we can see the attacks on our second via the first and vice versa. It's crazy stuff. If anybody out there doubts, and this is something I know I'm going to be driving home, unfortunately, very hard for the next few weeks, months, and probably 2 years ahead anyway. Rob Wilcox, I'm sure you know who he is, David, but Rob Wilcox is the Deputy Director of Policy and Strategy at Everytown Gun Safety, which has nothing to do with gun safety. Nothing. But that's the anti-rights group. Dave Workman also wrote a second piece over there I wanted to talk with you about, so we'll go ahead and just kind of segue there now. But he was quoted over at The Hill by stating, so all of you folks who felt, and again, I'm going to jump all over this every single day, every opportunity I get, from TDS sufferers to people who are willing to put up with Biden because of their hatred, orange man bad, even when it comes to guns. Let's just hope and pray that the Senate stays. Well, we showed you how that worked. Now they got all 3 reigns of power. So you partly own that. It's just mind-boggling to me how people were willing to put up with that. But here's what Rob Wilcox said. A Biden presidency is the gun lobby's worst nightmare, but it's a dream come true for anyone who cares about gun safety in America. Now, David, you want to translate that?
Yeah, our guy is in. Our guy's in power, and now we're coming after you.
So what do you have to say about the people who felt Donald Trump, worst thing ever, and the worst thing for gun rights ever? Okay to have Biden come in because, it's all talk. You can't take them at their word. Forget everything that they said. Now they're in. When you've got the enemies of your freedom saying this, don't you have to take these people at their word?
Of course you do. And the thing is, this Trump derangement syndrome, it's not just hatred for Trump. I wrote in Guns Magazine a while back about how Trump is merely an avatar for those of us who voted for him based on the platform that he ran on. And they hate Trump. They hate you and me. We have seen this come out just in recent days with the vicious attacks on Twitter, celebrating and reveling in the death of Rush Limbaugh.
Incredible.
Okay, and I forget who put the tweet up, and I reproed it on War on Guns. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he said, just remember, these people that hate Rush, they hate you. And not only to drive that one home, but the same people that revel in his death and want to revel in your death are the very same people who want you disarmed.
It's all one and the same. And it's been like that for years. And when you add in, I don't know, I keep going back. My piece at Ammo Land said it all. As far as I'm concerned, it was definitive in the sense that I got out what I wanted to get out. And that is that this show and this host, as we begin to move into the next year, 2 years, are going to hold those people accountable because it's you who gave us this. Orange man bad. Biden, okay, well, we're willing to put up with that. And those people who claim to be activists that pull the levers for the people of gun control, it's just incredible to me. But you're going to own it. We're going to see to it that you own it because we've been doing that on this program for 12 years. This is nothing new. This is what we've been doing for 12 years. Unfortunately, we have another Democrat president. The previous one before that was Obama. We did it then. We're going to do it now. Unbelievable. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense in the GunBroker.com studios. All is presented by X Insurance. We'll be back right after this. Okay, guys, I see some questions about Armed American Radio's website. Let me tell you what's cooking there. Hopefully, we have it up later today, but I don't want to rush the guys. They've been working on it for a long time. The site looks really good. We have some things that we have to put up. It's going to be a place where you can go get current news, updates. You'll see video blogs up there and posts. You're going to see all kinds of cool stuff. It's very easy on the eyes, and the site flows. It's not 100% correct. That's why you're getting the maintenance up there now. And I have yet to hear from the web guys. And let's face it, it's 4:20, almost 4:17 on the East Coast. They're working out in, one of them is on Central Time, the other's on Mountain Time. So if I haven't seen it yet, I'm probably won't have it up until Monday. The podcasts are still going up. In fact, I got in the back end of the old page yesterday and was able to put it up. So regardless, the podcast will continue to go up. But I have not yet heard from the guys that it's 100% complete yet, that the migration is complete. So hang in there. Before we migrate that, we're going to have some fresh content, some fresh stories be added. And we'll let you know. I thought that little blink on my phone might be a note from them, but not. Scott says, I think you need to hold libertarians to the fire as well. Well-intentioned, not libertarians brought into the TDS. Helped voted them out. Split votes only help Dems. Yeah, there's a lot of blame to go around here. I'm saddened by it, frankly, by a lot of it. But the excuses and the mental gymnastics I'm seeing to try to explain it away is laughable, is just utterly laughable to me. Ciao, Angeline. How are you? How many people have fallen for this mask stuff, too? These face diapers, incredible. You guys want to read a fun Twitter feed? Do I have enough time? I don't know if I do or not. Aubrey Huff is where you want to go. Aubrey Huff, get his Twitter feed, former ball player.
Here we go. 30.
Feed. This upcoming segment of Armed American Radio is being sponsored by Gunbroker.com, the world's largest online marketplace to buy and sell firearms, ammo, and related accessories. That's Gunbroker.com. Welcome back to the show. Gunbroker.com, by the way, the numbers coming out of there are off the chain. 6 million new members. 1 million plus items. Individual items up for grabs at Gunbroker every day. Many of them, in fact, I would say probably most of them buy now. You don't have to get in on an auction. Ammo and stuff like that, you are. The free market's working. It's just the way it is. That's not going to subside anytime soon. But over $1 billion in business, 1.5 million auctions a day, it's there for you if you want it over at gunbroker.com. Make sure to sign up. It's 100% free. You can peruse the items. I'm addicted to it. I do it during lunch and everything else now. I can't stop. We'll talk more about the rest of our sponsors later. However, remember, this is Crossbreed Holsters Microphone. 35% off, I believe, over at crossbreedholsters.com right now. And X Insurance, here's what I'm asking you to do. It's very important. It's very important for you, for Armed American Radio, for our voice, for the Second Amendment, for your freedom potentially. Simply visit xinsurance.com, scroll down to the bottom, firearms, and get a free quote. That's all you have to do. Doesn't cost you a thing. Nothing. You're going to be blown away. If you have what you think you have, when you find out, when you talk to a guy that's going to write you an actual policy, and they're going to ask you about your insurance and what it is you need for because they're going to build you out your own policy. xinsurance.com, 100% free. Go check it out. David Codrea, welcome back in, brother. There's so many different directions we can go here. First off, go ahead and plant the flag in the previous segment, and then we'll move on.
I think we're done with the previous segment.
All right, you and I have had some over the years. I guess we've been criticized a little bit from some, but you and I are of like mind that immigration poses the greatest threat to the right to keep and bear arms that this country has ever seen. And I think what you're seeing at the border again now is yet more evidence of that. When we see tens and tens and tens of thousands of people, you have to ask this question: why was Obama and why is Biden and Harris and the rest of these loons, these leftist, socialist, communist, Marxist, masquerading as Democrat loons, so hell-bent on legalizing 20+ million? Why do they want to do that, David?
Well, it's pretty obvious, and all you have to do is look at the real world of experience at places like California and places like Virginia, which the New York Times was practically crowing about, how the demographics made the blue shift in Virginia from a solid red state inevitable, and they vote Democrat. 70 to 80%. They vote anti-gun, 70 to 80%. And there is absolutely nothing out there that suggests that this even changes after 20 years or so of supposed assimilation, because, of course, assimilation doesn't happen like it used to happen back in the days before World War II. And so it's just a way to solidify the Democrat base and make certain that the Republicans are never going to win any more national elections and be able to appoint whoever they want to the courts, and their legislatures will be able to pass whatever laws they want. Their courts will be able to uphold those laws as constitutional, and it'll be game over as far as politics is concerned. I mean, that's quite evident to everyone, and why the supposed gun rights leaders refuse to recognize this and defer to say, well, we need to stay, exclusively on the single issue. It's all the single issue. If it impacts the Second Amendment, if it impacts the right to keep and bear arms, of course it's the single issue. And as we've discussed before, it's not about guns. It's about freedom.
Assimilation's interesting. My grandfather came here to this country prior to World War I from Italy, and subsequently built a company in Dayton, Ohio that is still being run by some of my uncles today. He had 16 kids, he and my grandmother. I got lots of cousins over on that side of the family. But back then, the assimilation, people were coming here in droves because they wanted to assimilate, because they wanted to become American. They wanted to achieve the American dream. And the American left has seen to it and eroded that to a point, and now people come over here because they want to get free stuff. I can promise you the people at the Mexican border are not coming here for the same reason my grandpa did. Xenophobic. Ben, by the way, you're a xenophobe too. Just saying.
Yeah. And what we have to go back to is we have to go back to Democrats of just, not that long ago from within my lifetime, where you had Democrats like John F. Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey both recognizing the reason that we had to have a Second Amendment, and including a right against fighting tyranny, and both of these were basically advocating this as true. And the reason you have to again look at John F. Kennedy, who said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," as opposed to come here and ask what the country can do for you and then expect it as an entitlement. And just, Virginia, I think their legislature just voted to give tuition financial assistance to illegal aliens.
Well, you understand this now that any quote-unquote pandemic relief is now going to be handed out to illegal immigrants as well. People in the country who violated the law are going to get checks from the federal government. your tax dollars.
I'm seeing where at the border they're already giving the COVID vaccines to some of the illegals before they're giving it to citizens, and I could argue both ways on that because we don't know about that. But it's also an opportunity to show the cognitive dissonance, because here we have Biden is promising the Mexican government that he's going to investigate why Texas is somehow not giving them all the natural gas they need through the pipeline, and he's going to get to the bottom of this, whereas you go north of the border and he has put a stop to the permit for the Keystone Pipeline to allow oil from Canada to flow into New York or into the United States.
You've got AOC claiming because there's no Green Deal, that's why Texas is having problems. It's just remarkable. And the problem comes to, in large part, because the press allows these idiots to get away with this. They don't question this. Okay? You've got that. I mean, the haberdashery. Cuomo in New York. This guy is unbelievable. You know, I sit here and I was questioning, why am I watching him on my television screens in Georgia? I don't live in New York. Don't want to live in New York. No offense, New Yorkers. Okay? There's a lot of great people that live in New York that want to get out of New York, that are stuck in New York. I get it. But, you know, he's your governor. He's not my governor. He's repulsive to me, and I got to watch him on my screens giving a press conference every day. Now he's under so much fire. You have CNN, MSDNC, and the rest of these networks covering for him. They're covering for him. And this is a lie of omission. This is why you will never, ever, ever get the truth. All of a sudden, David, we're supposed to believe COVID numbers. We're supposed to believe that Joe Biden is not anti-gun. He's just pro-gun safety. All of a sudden, the media is telling us the truth on everything. Listen, guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, you're at the right place with Armed American Radio. You're always going to get the truth here. But you got to be prepared for this. David will tell you this. The truth is a harsh mistress, and you're not going to like some of the things you hear here. When it comes from an immigration standpoint right now, what's happening on the southern border when it comes to your gun rights is extremely dangerous because David just laid the numbers out. And the reason that a lot of people don't want to talk about it is because they're afraid of what the media is going to call them. They can call me whatever they want to call me. I don't care. The truth hurts sometimes. David Codrea, back after this. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. We're going to wrap up the week. It is a Friday. So here we are, the gunbroker.com studios on the Crossbreed microphone, all of it being presented by X Insurance today. We'll be back with David Codrea right after this. Don't go away. Hey, Greg, I don't think I've ever heard a DUI described this way.
All right.
Former ball player Johnny Damon, who won a World Series with the Red Sox and the Yankees, was arrested in Florida Friday on a DUI charge. Windermere, Florida, Police Department. He was charged with DUI and one charge resisting an officer without violence. An officer noted a vehicle swerving on the road approximately 1:30 a.m. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, nothing good's going on out there after 12 o'clock, okay? That's pretty much a true statement. After following the car for several blocks, the officer observed the driver, later identified as Damon, repeatedly drift back and forth outside his lane. At one point, he struck a curb before also nearly hitting a guardrail. Damon was pulled over, and according to the arresting officer, he was observed being extremely unsteady on his feet, quote-unquote, and was slurring his speech. The officer also detected, quote-unquote, the odor of alcoholic impurities. I've never heard that
alcoholic impurities.
Does that mean he was drinking crappy booze?
Is that bottom shelf liquor?
Is that what we're talking about? The officer also detected the odor of alcoholic impurities. Should that say the officer also detected bottom shelf liquor?
You out there drinking that Kentucky Deluxe?
I mean, are you on the Henry McKenna or not drinking the Angel's Envy? What's going on here, bro?
I think so. Sounds like it.
Have you ever heard that before?
I have not. Alcoholic impurities? No, never heard that.
Is that alcohol? I just think it works just fine, officer. It's just fine. You can't tell.
Oh, God, there's a old PSA I'm trying to remember that was a boating safety PSA that, oh, God, who did that? I'll have to find it and send it to you. It's hilarious.
He was greater than .20. His blood level was .30 and .294, 4 times the legal limit, 2 hours after the initial stop. Woo! Alcoholic impurities. That means he was drinking cheap moonshine and not good moonshine?
All right, we're close.
Of course we are.
And 30. Foster Brooks, boating PSA. Have you ever heard that PSA? All right. Yeah, that's immediately who I thought of when you told me that story, was Foster Brooks.
Back to Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with Mark Walters.
Welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. All of it being presented to you by X Insurance. I have a great program lining up for you this weekend coming up, and I don't want to tease too much of it, but maybe in the next segment. We'll see. I want to make sure that everybody's locked in for sure. But the show will move quickly with 4 or 5 30-second guesses as we go into the roundtable. David Codrea, I want you back in on this. During the break, I was reading, just perusing some things when I found a story of former Major League Baseball player John Damon, who is 47 years old. Yeah, he won a couple of World Series, one with the Red Sox and one with the Yankees. They hate each other, so that's pretty interesting. But apparently a couple cops spotted him driving down the road about 1:30 in the morning, bouncing off. He wasn't staying between the ditches. Let me put it that way. And Windermere police pulled him over. And he was arrested for one charge of resisting an officer without violence and driving under the influence. And this just struck me. Damon was pulled over, and according to the arresting officer, he was observed being extremely unsteady on his feet and was slurring his speech. The officer also detected, quote unquote, the odor of alcoholic impurities. The only thing that came to my mind was, does that mean he was drinking really cheap booze? What does that mean? I've never seen that before. The odor of alcoholic impurities? He was drinking that rot gut moonshine, not that good clean stuff. Was he drinking bottom shelf, not top shelf? I don't know. He did blow, though, nearly a .4, like a 3-point something. The guy was hammered. Anyway, I had never seen that before, and I thought that was strange. So there's a fun little fact for your Friday. I've never heard that before. So, David, if you want to comment on that, that's fine. If not, we can certainly move on.
You know me in sports and anti-gun sports and all of that. We just don't mix well together. I would like to go back and put a point on the last segment, if
Please.
I could, for
Absolutely.
a couple seconds.
Go right ahead.
Okay, we know that the Constitution, basically through the preamble, gives a clue as to what types of actions by the three branches are going to advance the purposes of the Constitution. My favorite being to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And part of the problem, as you mentioned about the immigration issue, is the fear that people have of bringing it up because they're afraid of being called racists. They're afraid of being called xenophobes. That is not the case at all. It's simply, do you let people into this country who are going to help build and advance upon a Bill of Rights culture? Or do we want people coming into this country who are going to build power for those who want to remake it into a socialist hellhole? Which is preferable? Which would be consistent with the way that the founders set up our Constitution? And so just to say that, to warn against the numbers of immigration, when you say 70, 80% are against guns, that still means 20 to 30% are for and or neutral on it. They're not actively against guns. And it would be a mistake not to be able to mention to people who want to accuse us of being racist and xenophobes that there are many wonderful immigrants who have absolutely improved the quality of life in America and helped advance the cause of freedom. Our friend, retired neurosurgeon and medical journal editor Miguel Faria, who was a refugee from Cuba and has now become a great champion for exposing the evils of communism and the necessity for the right of the people to keep and bear arms. But it's not even a nationality thing because, I know a lot of wonderful Cubans this way, but then you have other Cuban nationals that have come over, like the father of Emma Gonzalez of March for Our Lives, who absolutely supports her disarmament, agenda, even though he escaped from Castro's Cuba, and Castro's line was "Armas para qué?" What do you need guns for? We've got them.
This is interesting because you've just kind of opened up the rabbit hole. So let me take the bait for a second, pun intended. There's a train of thought, and our friend Alan Corwin asks this question a lot. And it really from an analysis standpoint, it's kind of hard to put your finger on because you would think there would be a paradigm shift. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Immigrants who tend to be older, who remember the right to bear arms from places where it has been taken, let's say Great Britain, okay, as an example, versus immigrants who were born after, who never knew the right. You would think that you'd be able to see, just as you were talking about with Cuba, that the older individual would come to America and relish and cherish that freedom and that right to bear arms that comes with being an American citizen, or for that matter, a permanent resident legally here, versus that person who never knew the right to bear arms, that's been drilled, guns are bad, guns are bad. You can see how that individual can come over here and want to vote that 80% way that we're talking about, but that older individual. Do you see where I'm going? There's a paradox here. Yet it doesn't seem, the numbers don't seem to bear it out. And I haven't yet been able to put my finger on it. I don't know why they are what they are. Maybe we're talking to the wrong people. Maybe the people I've talked to just don't seem to bear it out. But I know my grandfather came over to this country, and his kids, for the most part, all became great gun owners and loved the right to keep and bear arms, versus the people who come over here today from the same areas of the world who have lost that right, come over here, and it's not that big of a deal. They see guns as bad because of the media coverage and so forth. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I think that's exactly right. All they have been indoctrinated with is that guns are bad and that guns only belong in the hands of government agents. And this is pretty much what they've come up with. And there's a world of difference between not being allowed to have something that you've never experienced and losing something that you have experienced. And I think that's probably the big difference. And when people are dependent on the news for their information, the mainstream media news, what I call the DSM, standing for Durante Stryker Media, and we don't have to go into the explanation of that, and plus coming from cultures that disparage private gun ownership. We're seeing, there are places where immigrants come in from countries like India, which absolutely discourages gun ownership, or Japan or China or places like that. And the funny side story to that is that many years ago, a friend of mine, his wife was from Japan, and her brother came over, and he was an executive with like Isuzu or one of these, and so he's a mucky muck over there, and he comes from a culture where there's no guns. And I decided, why don't we go to the range? And I took him to the range, and this guy was a high-power executive grinning like a kid in a candy store. I couldn't believe it.
Well, you just nailed it.
It's like,
David, you just nailed it. So that's exactly what I was going to say. If you want to fix the problem here, let's take that 20 or 30-year-old millennial, whatever goofy numeric, whatever thing they call themselves today, at whatever age brackets. Everything's got to be broken up into a bracket. But take that individual who's never known the right to bear arms here to the United States, and while they sit there and they rail on the right to bear arms and they talk about all their garbage, their socialism, if you can get that person to a range, again, I've repeated this over and over, not one time ever, and I mean people who I know were vehemently anti-gun, not one time did I ever have anybody say to me, oh my gosh, that sucked, I never, ever, ever want to do that again. It was always, wow, that was empowering, I love that. When can we do that again? Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to go out and buy a gun. It doesn't mean that they want a gun in their house. It means they had a great time shooting, and it may change their perception. Something else I've always found, David, that I've done a ton of interviews on the BBC, and it's always the host that attacks me for my pro-gun position as an American gun lover and an American gun nut. But every single time I get off those radio programs, I'm always very polite to the host. Every time I get off those interviews, my email inboxes blow up from the people who were listening who feel like I do, because they're like, hey, don't pay attention to him. We lost our gun rights. Thanks for being so honest and so forthright. We wish we had the rights you had. Never give them up. David, we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, this is unbelievable. We're going to wrap the hour up already. Good heavens. I do want to read you part, David, and I want to get your opinion on this. The gun writer, why was he gone for as long as he was? And I can't wait to hear it from David Codrea, what he thinks about the media and what they did to thegunwriter.com. But he's back now. He's back. In fact, the gun writer, I can tell you this, will be on the show with me on Sunday night. That's how back he is. David Codrea will be back right after this, too. Don't go away. Mad Dog 2020. They still make that crap? I guarantee they do. Boone's Farm. They still make that stuff. I remember when I was a kid.
Yep.
They still make that?
Yep.
You're talking about it inside the comments section. Boone's Farm, MD 2020.
Yep. Still.
Scott says the street cop term
today
for 4 times is blanked up. Effed up. Yeah, it is. Foster Brooks. Yeah. Wow, Foster Brooks. I'm going to have to go back and look. I used to crack up when he was on Johnny Carson.
Sure.
Oh, he was so funny.
Yeah, I pulled up that PSA video. So hilarious. All right, we're close.
All right, man, oh man.
And 30.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Defender Coffee. When you drink Defender Coffee, you're making a donation to a gun rights organization of your choice that protects and defends your freedoms. Welcome back to the show. Mine is the Second Amendment Foundation, by the way, with Defender Coffee. And they got the buy 3 bags, get one, no limit. Buy 3 bags, get one, no limit. And you know that promo code. Oh, I've got to pull that promo code up for you, because it's important. That promo code to get that is buy 3, get 1 free. Buy and the number 3, get 1, the number 1 free. Buy 3, get 1 free. And don't use the AAR promo code to get the buy 3, get 1 free. It does not apply on 5-pound bags, only the 12-ounce bags, okay? That's DefenderCoffee.com. Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org. X Insurance, I'm challenging you. I need you to work with me on X Insurance. I need you to go over to X Insurance and want you to get a quote. I want you to go out and fill it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You're under no obligation to do anything. I want you to make a comparison. The reason I'm asking you to do that is because we are going to be doing some things with you over some promotions here coming up in the next couple, 3, 4, 5 weeks and into the next couple months that are going to open your eyes. And that's about where I'm going to leave it. But be prepared. It's kind of like doing your homework. Go over to X Insurance, because this is not like what you think you have if you have another membership plan or anything like that. Okay? This is real insurance, so we're going to show you some fun stuff. Go to xinsurance.com, fill it out, get yourself a quote over there. You'll be very glad you did, by the way. MyPillow.com, promo code AAR, continue to use it. It is unbelievable that David Hogg kid, I saw an article today, that idiot is still getting legs on his pillow thing. Bring it on, Hogg. I don't care what you try. I mean, this kid is, really something. Dude, you should just go home, talk to a therapist, relax, get your life together. Come talk to us in a few years. You've really worn out that 15 minutes. Car Arms, gunbroker.com, North American Arms. I mentioned Defender Coffee, frontsight.com. Ignatius Piazza is going to be with me in the 9:30 Eastern Time hour to 10 p.m., 6:30 to 7 p.m. Pacific Time this coming Sunday. We're going to be working together as well, so we're going to hint at some of these things in that half hour with Ignatius Piazza. In the meantime, frontsight.com/Mark, frontsight.com/Mark, but we're going to have a really cool new offer for you for $1 coming up with Ignatius and Frontsight here very soon. All right, David, let's cover some ground quickly. Let's move fast. First off, thegunwriter.com, you know Lee Williams. You've heard him on the program before. Let me tell you what happened with him, and I'm going to let you comment before we move on to a defensive gun use by a minor that you wrote about over at Ammo. Now, take a listen to this. He was on the show yesterday. He's going to be on the program Sunday. He's been gone for months and months and months from the program because the company that he worked for over there, which was the Sarasota Herald Tribune, was bought. Here's how he put it. As many of you know, I worked as an editor for a daily paper in Florida owned by a chain called Gatehouse. Gatehouse recently purchased another newspaper chain, Gannett, and the two companies merged. The new company that he merged is Gannett. While many of the senior Gatehouse managers enjoyed the original The Gun Writer, those from Gannett certainly did not. They're an uppity, humorless bunch. Some Gatehouse editors, myself included, began to feel like cowboys in their overregulated corporate world. Even though Gannett publishes all kinds of sports and niche products, they even have a magazine devoted to cage fighting. Once they found my little website, The Gun Writer, devoted solely to guns, they went a little dinky-dow. 2 of my former editors were told to investigate my social media to make sure it was in compliance with Gannett's strict social media policies. The editors who had to go through my Facebook is probably still laughing. I was ordered to stop all postings immediately. He had no choice but to comply if he wanted to keep his job. He's now no longer working at that paper, and he is out talking about it. David, when this is the way major media silences their writers, man. They wouldn't even let him talk on this program.
Yeah, this is the Gannett Publications. They're the same ones that own USA Today. Yeah. They're the same ones that own the Journal in New York, the Lower Hudson Journal or whatever, that publish the names and addresses of gun permit holders. Mm-hmm. They're the same ones that violate their ethics policy and put out tweets showing AR-15s with chainsaw attachments.
That's true.
Okay, and I have been basically exposing these people for years and years. And yes, unfortunately, there is no place in the so-called mainstream media for people like Lee, for people like you, for people like myself, who are going to take an alternative view from what their whole editorial policy is about, which is to be a cheerleader for government rule. And that's just what they are. And if you're someone like yourself or myself or Lee, you're going to have to basically be able to find support among like-minded people and in many cases strike out on our own, which you've done and which I've done, and which sounds like what Lee has done.
100%. Not only are we going to support him, we're going to work with him. I can't wait to get started. Lee Williams, the gun writer, will be on the Sunday Monstercast to tell the nation, 250 radio stations, what happened to him. And I've been waiting for the day to out these people and thank God, because I knew this was going on and I was not allowed to say anything about it. He was in fear for his job. Incredible. A North Carolina man died on Saturday after he broke into the home of a 73-year-old woman and was fatally shot by her 12-year-old grandson who was trying to defend her. The Daily Mail reports. The definitive piece on this by David Codrea, DGU, which you know as defensive gun use by minor, raises questions for phony gun safety prohibitionists. David, you've got 2.5 minutes. It's yours. Go.
Yeah, well, essentially, I went through how, not only are defensive gun uses suppressed by the media, but what's even rarer is for them to cover defensive gun uses by minors, because they're all for keeping kids away from guns and maintaining ignorance rather than education. And so I ended this with 3 questions that I think that every gun grabber ought to be asked. We talked about Workman, asking questions about the microstamping from his article. And again, if you're going to demand safe storage laws, in order to be consistent, then you should say, even though this was a successful DGU, that the grandmother should be charged with letting the kid, have access to the gun. Ask them, do you believe that she should be charged? We talked about the Merced Pitchfork murders, where this girl was trained, but she was not able to access her parents' gun because they kept it out of reach according to California law, and this maniac broke in and killed 2 of her siblings with a pitchfork. So would you rather see educated children watch their younger siblings get murdered with pitchforks than able to stop maniacs by using a gun? Fair question to me. And the final question, if you were being robbed, assaulted, and shot at by murderous home invaders, just like in the story that I highlighted, who would you rather have come to your defense? The armed 12-year-old in this story, or quote-unquote grown-up man David Hogg?
And I'm right here at the end, and I love that. I did not know David was going to finish with that. Let me read the statement. If you were being robbed, assaulted, and shot by a murderous home invader, who would you rather have come to your defense, the armed 12-year-old or grown-up man David Hogg? That right there is it. It was a perfect place to end it. David, well written, well done, well said. Real quick, I think you got about 15 or 20 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find you, please, besides here every week.
WarOnGuns.com. WarOnGuns.com. It'll take you to all my blog posts. It'll take you to my ammo land pieces, my firearms news pieces, and anywhere else where I come up, radio show announcements, the whole 9 yards. So WarOnGuns.com.
60.
And don't forget, just use your DuckDuckGo or start page. David Codrea, Ammo Land. Read everything he writes over there. He's on this host list. He's one of my greatest sources out there. He's up here every time when we're talking about stuff. We go and find out what David's talking about. It's a great source of information for you. You'll also see some of his writings on my new website coming up soon, because we're going to grab some of his stuff and move it over as a source of news for you. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. The Monster Cast is going to be a good one this weekend coming up. Ignatius Piazza, the gun writer. Of course, A.W.R. Hawkins, Alan Gottlieb, the Round Table, and you never know who else is going to stop by. Until we meet again on the radio, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never leave your cave without your club. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you on the radio.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
Surprisingly, it's a wrap. Not really surprising.
No, not at all. Now, I know you don't want to hear this, but it's been, the weather where you have been has been epic. It's been crappy and rainy here for days and cold, nothing like what you've been up to. But we have finally got sunshine here for the next 2.5 days. And I
Same
don't feel
here.
a cloud in the sky. You going to melt some of that crap you got down there?
We're thawing out pretty well.
So you're home. How's the dog doing?
Dog is doing fine. I got to go check on my mom's house to see if she's got active water. She was frozen up still yesterday when I went by there, but she had power. Fortunately, she's not in town. She's in California currently, so it doesn't really matter. But I've got power at my house, and I've had water for, a couple days now.
All right, good deal.
Now, and I don't think I have to boil it. It doesn't look like it's got parasites running around in it.
Yeah, well, you never know. Well,
Yeah,
here's the
you're right.
gig. I was supposed to be in Phoenix speaking at the state capitol tomorrow at the AZ rally for gun rights. It's going to be a big deal. There's probably going to be 10,000 people there. Mr. Gottlieb will be there. If you are listening in Phoenix or anywhere in the vicinity and you can drive out there, go participate. It's going to be a great rally. I am very bummed. I had flight arrangements to go out. One of them fell through, trying to get a commercial back, and it would have cost me the Sunday show, and nothing will miss. I will not miss a Sunday program for anything. Haven't done it in nearly 13 years. Not going to do it for that either. In the meantime, I'll be at, if you're listening in the vicinity, I will be at High Caliber Gun Shop tomorrow from 11 till 1. Tomorrow from 11 till 1 if you want to come out. That's High Caliber Gun Shop in Holly Springs, Georgia. If you can make it, come on up. And I think that's a wrap for me. Dude, I'm good to rock and roll. I'll catch you on the radio.
All right, man. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday, dude.
Sunday.
See you Sunday for a really big show. That was Greg over there.
The Monster Show.
See him for the Monster Show on Sunday. There's Greg. Greg's good. He's better than somebody else I used to know. Oh, that was wrong. He's not. Yeah, kind of. Arrivederci, Angeline. Oh, you know what I'm making this weekend, Angeline, if you're still here? I'm making my gravy. Ooh. And my gravy's good. It's good. I start with, I can't remember the olive oil I use, but it's very hard to get. My mom left me some. I'll do a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onions, and then I'll throw in some pork scraps, and I'll throw in some sausage, both some mild, some sweet, some hot. Brown that all up, then I'll start with my gravy. And then when I make my meatballs, which is a phenomenal recipe, it's been passed down since my grandfather ages ago in southern Italy. I don't brown them. I don't fry them. I don't bake them. They go in my sauce about 45 minutes before we're ready to serve the sauce. And we let those meatballs flavor up that gravy. It's so good. It's just, and rigatoni is the favorite here. Rigatoni is the favorite at the ranch. Okay, stop it where you might left. All right, Angeline, sorry. I just wanted to let you know that. All right, guys, seriously, I hope, thanks for being out. Thanks for being here today. The website, the podcast will go up on the back end through Blueberry. Okay, I don't know whether the guys have the website up yet. I haven't heard back from them yet. Probably not if I haven't heard from them by this time, Eastern time. So maybe think Saturday it'll be up, but take your time. When the site comes up, it's going to be a destination. You're going to be able to go there and see things and read things and listen to things, okay? We're excited about it. We've been working on it for months, and it's going to be nice when it pops up. We want to have the content there for you when we're ready to pop the plug on that thing. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Start your weekend off. Be safe. Have fun. And I'll see you on the radio Sunday.